All right, well, I guess I'll introduce myself really quickly. But my name is Annika. I'm a creative strategy manager here at Sokal. So I kind of work behind the scenes with clients if there is changes they want to make their creative, whether it's they want a new logo, a new tagline, or something's just not working and they want to try something new. I handle a lot of that, which is really fun and exciting. But that's kind of what I do, just a brief synopsis, but I wanted
Okay.
to hear what you do and like what your day looks like with Blue Backroad and stuff like that.
So, as marketing director, I really gear towards all things creative and less math. That's why we rely on
Yeah.
SoCal. Brett is awesome. He's my data geek. I don't like to deal with the analytics and all of that stuff of things. So I do our graphics when we need them. I do our social media stuff. I do video, copywriting. I do voiceovers and all that kind of stuff. But I do it for several brands. So it keeps me pretty
Mhm.
busy.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. I know that the dealer group umbrella has like Chevy, Buick, GMC, and then it's BMW and Volkswagen, right?
Yes. And then we also have a store about 2 hours north of our location that is a CDJR. So I
Oh,
cover
yeah.
that as well.
Yeah, oh gosh. I mean, it's all across the board from like luxury to like trucks and like rugged.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yep.
like all over the place.
And
No,
it's always a struggle because you have to have a voice for the brand,
yeah.
which is Lubacro, but then you also need to have a voice for each vehicle brand. So every day when you're creating content and doing posts and things like that, you are bouncing back and forth from, okay, how do I speak from Lubacro to a Silverado driver? How do I speak to from Lubacro to a BMW performance driver? So it always, I've got a lot of voices in my head.
Yeah, a lot of brands, a lot of voices. It keeps it interesting though. I feel like that's the fun part about it is though it can go both ways, like luxury or like rugged or like performance even, that kind of stuff I feel like is what makes it fun is like getting to tap into all of these different markets or like different types of people.
Absolutely.
Which brings me to my next question that I kind of wanted to ask was how did you get involved in the car industry? I know that like sometimes people have an interesting background when it comes to it, so I was just curious like how that started for you.
Actually, I come here by way of radio. I was
Ooh.
afternoon jock and a promotions coordinator, so I was in marketing and on air for a radio station. And
Mhm.
I was laid off at COVID.
Oh gosh.
So then it was kind of like, okay, now what?
Mhm.
And took me a couple of months, but I landed here doing social media. They didn't really have somebody in house doing social media, and I think that's so important. I know so many places will send out their social media posting to other companies, and every customer has one thing in common, whether they're BMW or they're Chevy or their CDJR 2 hours north of here, they want a great deal. So every customer has that one thing in common. And they also have in common that they want it from a place that they can trust.
Mhm.
That loyalty factor comes in. So
Yeah.
that was a big thing in reining in and taking control of your own social media for organics is because nobody knows Lou Backrow like the people here in Rockford and the team at Lou Backrow. Like you could have a company out in Arizona do all of your posting for you, but it's not going to resonate.
Yeah.
So and I learned a lot of that in radio. Like you have to be authentic and you have to be local. And it kind of went from radio right into hit the ground running here at the dealership.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like it is definitely a lot more challenging when you outsource your organic social media, only because, like you were saying, organic social is something that's very personal and it's something that, yeah, should resonate really well with your brand, but also with your consumer. So, yeah, no, that makes total sense. Did you feel like it was difficult jumping into organic social media, going from radio to social media in general?
You know, the most difficult transition was into the dealership world was all of the abbreviations y'all use.
Oh yeah, there's so many.
Day one, they're like, oh, the SRP and the
Yeah,
VDP, and
the BDC. Yeah.
you've got all of these things. Yeah,
Yeah.
what's your BDC? And then and I'm like, okay, hold up a minute, stop. I don't know what any of this means. All I know is that today I have to do a Facebook post and it needs to have a person in it and it needs to resonate with people of Rockford, not it doesn't need to be a slick Chevy video. So let's start there.
Yeah.
So it was a learning curve. Every now and then somebody will still throw one at me and I'll be like, wait, what did those three letters stand for?
Yeah, okay. So when you're creating social content, do you use any platforms? Like, do you use Adobe or Canva? I know sometimes like CapCut is even involved now. I was just curious how you go about.
I try to use a little bit of everything. So I use CapCut. I use the new Instagram edits. I use KindMaster, which is a program that's great for me to be able to record and lay down a voiceover, and I get commercial licensed music because that's always a big thing coming from the radio world. Audio and certain sounds and certain taglines and things you can't say on the radio. You can't use
Yeah,
it. So I think that kind of gave me a little advantage because I knew coming in like licensing for music and the difference between having a personal account and a business account because I see so many dealerships around that have a TikTok page, which is cool. Love TikTok, but then they have personal pages, so they're using stuff that technically someday they could get in trouble for, and I hate to see that because it's easy to avoid it.
yeah, I do notice that a lot with commercial music, only because I feel like TikTok especially is so trend based and a lot of the trends are based off sounds. But I do notice that a lot too. So when you create content, then are you mainly doing it for like you're mainly doing it for Instagram and like Facebook and then sometimes like LinkedIn, or do you do TikTok too? Like what does your
So
day-to-day look
we,
like?
when we record our videos, I end up with renditions. I might edit them a bit differently depending on what platform they're going on, but Facebook, Instagram, we'll do YouTube shorts. Sometimes they'll go to LinkedIn. Obviously, we keep the LinkedIn more professional based
Yeah.
than customer facing.
Yeah.
But we do have some stuff out there, like when we have events, and it all comes down to you have to record it a different direction, which makes it more difficult.
I noticed too that you guys have multiple Instagrams and stuff like that. Do you run all of them or do you
Oh
just,
yeah,
oh
like
wow.
20 plus profiles. It's
Yeah.
very difficult to keep up with. I have a social media calendar. I have things charted out sometimes a month in advance. Like summer is really busy.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you use like a calendar platform or do you use Excel and like schedule it out? I know everyone does it
I
a different way.
I created my own calendar in Excel basically because I wanted to color code it and I wanted to
Yeah.
have like, okay, here's the post that I'm making for the Chevy page. Here's the post I'm going to do for BMW and Volkswagen. We also have a used car super center that's about a mile away. So Back Road on State gets its own color, and then YouTube gets its own color, and TikTok and Instagram and LinkedIn and what I want to post to Google business pages. They're all color coded. So every day has something different. The big thing is making sure that you get something to every page, but there's different amount of followers. So like Monday through Saturday, our Chevy page, which has about 8,000 followers, gets a post and it gets one post a day.
Yeah.
So when we start doing things, it kind of like, we've got an upcoming car show and we've got this and that. So it gets filled up quickly. But then, like our BMW and our Volkswagen pages, they have fewer followers. So I try not to spam those followers too much. So they get like 2 or 3 posts a week.
Yeah, I was
And
gonna ask
then
that about it. Like, what, like, do you do shoot for every day for like your main account, and then like the other accounts, it's like lower. Like you said, you're not one for the analytics, but do you look at the like tracking for days and stuff, or you just like to pick and see, or what's your process for that like?
So normally I try to space it out so I'm not slamming myself with having to post to, 20
Yeah,
pages all at the same day,
yeah,
right? So, like I said, our Chevy page gets Monday through Saturday. one post. And then normally BMW will hit Monday, Wednesday, Volkswagen's on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Our CDJR store gets 5 or 6, depending on what's going on, posts a week. So there's kind of like a sweet spot for businesses. If you have less than 8,000 followers, you really shouldn't be posting multiple times a day or necessarily even every day of the week
Yeah.
because people see your stuff and then they feel like that's all they're seeing and you're spamming them.
Yeah. No, I definitely feel that. I feel like for SoCal as a company, we try to, I always say we should post between like 2 and 4 times a week because I feel like anything else is like overboard. And I even notice it sometimes, even with my personal Instagram. Like if I post to my story too much, I'm like losing followers. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Absolutely.
I'm like,
Yeah.
please, I didn't mean it.
Yeah, take it
So,
back, take it all back.
yeah.
It,
So,
it becomes one of those things. And there's definitely a difference between creating your page brand
yeah.
for, like I tell our sales guys all the time, I would love for all of our sales guys to go on Facebook and create a business page for themselves
Hmm.
because they're their own business. You
Yeah.
know, they have the ability to go out and do walkarounds with a car or take, happening right now stuff and push it out there and tag the dealership. But as a marketing director for Lou Backrow Auto Mall, it's my job to brand and sell Lou Backrow, not to make sure that all of the salespeople get every single delivery they did posted. And I'll throw those in when we do Testimonial Tuesday or when we do delivery pictures on Instagram. But it's not all getting pushed to Facebook every day because we have 20 salespeople.
Yeah, yeah, no, it would be a lot. I was going to ask that too. Like, do you have a way, if you do want someone to be in a video or like in a photo, do you go about it a certain way to reach out to people to ask them to participate in things? Or do you guys have certain days where you participate in stuff? Or do you just run up to someone and ask them? Like, what does that look like on a dealership level?
The struggle is real for getting
Yeah.
people to interact with video. And I
Yeah.
kind of have my go-tos. I have my salespeople who I know they're like, okay, whatever. And
Yeah.
there's some that really enjoy it. And then there's people who don't even want their picture taken.
Yeah.
And here's the thing is when you're pushing out that organic content, the most important thing is that it's authentic. If someone doesn't want to be there, it's going to show.
Yeah.
So I've moved past the whole, well, you have to do this because if you're not going to engage and enjoy it, then the whole video is kind of pointless anyways, right?
Yeah. No,
So
I
I
agree.
have my go-tos for sure.
Yeah, no, I do feel like sometimes getting people involved can be hard, especially like on like a corporate level. It can be like you don't want to force anyone to do anything, but you also don't want to show the same people all the time because obviously there's more people than just like the 3 people that are like, okay, yeah, I'll do this. Like,
Yeah. And
but
it's getting people to understand that like I want to promote you
yeah.
and I want to talk about you, but I
Yeah.
can't do that if you're not, just help me help you.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like one of those things as people too, we're all like visual people. So it's also like it goes back to that whole thing about trusting people and like trusting where you're buying a car from and like brand loyalty and all of those things. So I completely see how that would be totally beneficial.
It's kind of like if you sell Scentsy or Avon or Pampered Chopper, whatever the hot new thing is. You don't want to always hawk those products to your best friends every day on your personal feed, right? You set
Yeah.
up a different look because your potential customers don't need to know that your kid was colicky and you were up all night or that it was your high school reunion and you got trashed. You
Yeah.
know, they don't need to see that. They need to see a personal side of you, but that might be too much personal.
Yeah, that might be
So
a little bit
setting up is setting up a business page allows a salesperson to only show what they want,
Mhm.
and then their friends who want to see that content can join that page, but then they're not, forcing work all the time. So it's a nice little buffer and it gives you an opportunity to kind of filter what your customers see. But at the same time, if you leave Lou back row, you're a great salesperson and we hate to see you go, but say you're moving somewhere else, you take that branding with you because
Yeah.
that's your page. So now all of a sudden, You haven't lost all this content. You are taking your page and moving it to another store. And you're really, if you plan to be in car sales for a career for the rest of your life, that is the best way to go about it. And then let the
Yeah.
marketing director and the dealerships worry about branding themselves as well.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I see it all the time too in like the design world and like even with like photography and stuff like that too. Like those people a lot of the times because it's freelance, they also have their own Instagrams directly for that kind of business and then they like have their own personal. So it's kind of like the same thing. Like you wouldn't push that kind of business on your personal friends either. And I think
Right,
that's something I feel like a lot of common like normal people see more as like a like photographer page or like a design page.
right,
But like this, I feel like it's almost like the same kind of concept, just different industry. And I feel like it works just the same. So
right. Well, I imagine if you have a professional business page as a salesperson
yeah.
and you have a customer who over the past 5 or 6 years has bought 3 or 4 cars from you, and you go somewhere else, now they know how to find you because they follow you. They can go with you if they want. And it's also just a great way to get people to interact with you
Hmm.
without, most people only hear from their car salesman once or twice a year, like, hey, everything's still good, you bought the car a year ago. Hey, it's your birthday, happy birthday, let me know when you're ready to buy another car. And when they follow you on Facebook, they feel like they're part of your journey, so now they're thinking about you before they need a new car, and
Yeah.
you're interacting with them before they need a car, which is the best thing to do.
Do you ever have to communicate with people like over Facebook and Instagram, like in like DMs or comments? Like, can it get gnarly or is it like normally good? Like, how does that go?
The struggle is always there when you're posting things on a Friday and you're off Saturday, Sunday, and you're like,
Yeah.
who's going to say what about this? Because,
Yeah.
there's always going to be someone who has something negative to say. So, most of the time, I am good at catching those comments and hiding them so that their friends can see them and they can interact with their friends on that subject. I don't block them necessarily, but I will hide a comment. If somebody asks a question, I will normally drop in the comments and try to answer their question or share a direct link if they need it. But I also do try to encourage our salespeople to follow our page. And if somebody asks a question about that truck that I just posted a video about, you know more about it than me. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're the expert. And when they come in, they're asking for you
Yeah.
because, hey, I'm so and so. I'm a sales specialist here at Lee Backrow, and I actually just had that vehicle out for a test drive. I can tell you that this truck carries, this weight or can the towing capacity. These are all things that I don't know. I'm not a sales specialist. I don't work
Yeah.
on the products like that. I'm like,
Yeah.
ooh, it's a pretty picture. It makes for a good video.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a nice car. It's gorgeous outside. This is
Yeah. Tell
perfect.
me more about the car. Well, it has 4 wheels,
Yeah.
five if you count the steering wheel,
Yeah.
and six if there's a spare tire. But beyond
Yeah.
that, I'm done.
Yeah. It might have heated seats.
Right. It's
But
shiny, and I just had it cleaned so that I could take video of it, and that's about all I got.
yeah. Yeah.